Two things under your kitchen sink right now. Together they cost less than $1. And the grout in your bathroom will never look the same again. Not cleaner for a week. Not brighter until the next shower. Permanently altered. The kind of white that makes people assume you retiled. And the part that should bother you? This formula has existed since before your grandparents were born. The grout cleaning industry is worth over $4 billion annually. $4 billion. Built almost entirely on products that work just well enough to make you buy them again next month. Sprays, foams, steam machines, professional services, charging $200 to kneel on your bathroom floor for 40 minutes. All of it cycling. All of it temporary. Because temporary is profitable and permanent is not. What I'm about to walk you through is permanent. One application. Done. In 1923, a woman named Edna Marsh submitted a cleaning formula to the American Household Sciences Association, a formula using only 2 compounds. And it was tested, validated, and then quietly set aside. Not disproven, not found dangerous, set aside. The notes from that submission still exist in archived home economics literature if you know where to look, and what they describe is essentially identical to what I'm going to show you today. The language in those notes is almost funny in retrospect. Highly effective, minimal cost, unlikely to generate commercial interest. That last phrase is doing a lot of work, unlikely to generate commercial interest. That's the tell. That's the whole story in 4 words. Because commercial interest isn't generated by things that work once and stay working. It's generated by things that require you to come back. And the cleaning product industry figured that out fast. The year 1919 matters here more than you'd think, because that's when commercial bleach-based cleaning agents first went into mass production. And that's also the exact moment this older formula started disappearing from household guides. That's not a coincidence worth ignoring. Before 1919, household cleaning manuals, and there were dozens of them, published by universities, agricultural extensions, domestic science programs, listed this 2-compound formula explicitly. Explicitly. It was considered basic knowledge, the kind of thing passed from mother to daughter, written into the margins of recipe books, shared across back fences. Hydrogen peroxide and baking soda in the correct ratio, applied correctly. That's it. That was the grout solution. It appeared under names like the brightening paste or the porcelain reviver, depending on the region, but the chemistry was always the same. After commercial bleach products hit the market and companies like Procter & Gamble, Colgate, and a dozen regional chemical manufacturers started building distribution networks, those household manuals started updating their recommendations. New products, better products, modern formulas. And slowly, the 2-ingredient paste that cost nothing started getting described as old-fashioned, inadequate, a folk remedy. By the 1940s, it had largely vanished from mainstream household guides. By the 1960s, most people had never heard of it. What changed in 1919 wasn't the chemistry. The chemistry didn't get worse. What changed was who had financial incentive to shape what you knew. Think about the math here for a second. The average American household spends somewhere between $60 and $90 a year on bathroom and tile cleaning products. Multiply that across 130 million households, and you start to understand the size of what's at stake when a free solution exists. Nobody builds a $4 billion industry on top of a recipe that costs 90 cents and works forever. They build it by making sure you forget that recipe exists. Grout isn't just dirty, it's structurally porous. And that distinction is exactly why every spray cleaner you've ever bought has failed you. This is the part most people never get explained to them. And once you understand it, you'll never look at a cleaning product labeled the same way. Ceramic tile itself is non-porous, sealed, essentially impenetrable to water and organic material. But grout, the compound filling the joints between those tiles, is made from Portland cement, water, and usually sand. And cement is, at its core, a crystalline matrix riddled with microscopic channels. Those channels absorb moisture. They absorb soap residue. They absorb skin cells, mineral deposits from hard water, mold spores, bacteria. The discoloration you see in old grout isn't sitting on top of the surface. It's inside the structure, embedded in those microscopic channels at a depth that a surface spray simply cannot reach. This is why bleach-based cleaners feel like they work in the short term. Bleach is a strong oxidizer. It will whiten the surface layer. It will kill surface mold. But it evaporates quickly and doesn't penetrate deeply enough to address the material that's embedded further down. 2 weeks later, the discoloration is back, sometimes darker, because the bleach itself can degrade grout over time, slowly breaking down the cement matrix, making those channels wider, making the grout more porous, which means it absorbs more next time. You're not solving the problem, you're slowly making it worse while spending money every month. Steam cleaners do better. The heat and pressure can dislodge embedded material more effectively than chemistry alone. But they're expensive, they take real time and effort, and they still don't address the fundamental issue, which is that After you clean the grout, it remains porous. It's going to absorb again. You're resetting the clock, not stopping it. What actually needs to happen, what the 1919 formula achieves, is a reaction that reaches into those microscopic channels, breaks apart the embedded organic compounds and mineral deposits at the molecular level, and then leaves behind a residue that partially fills and seals those channels so the absorption rate drops dramatically going forward. That's not cleaning, that's a structural intervention. And it's exactly what this two-compound formula does. Hydrogen peroxide is a remarkably misunderstood compound. Most people know it as the brown bottle in the first aid section, the thing you pour on cuts that bubbles and stings. What they don't know is that the bubbling they're seeing is molecular oxygen being released as the peroxide decomposes. And that process of releasing active oxygen is exactly what makes it so effective on porous materials. When hydrogen peroxide contacts organic material embedded in a porous surface, the oxygen release happens inside the pores, not just on top. It's essentially pressure cleaning from the inside out at a chemical level. The organic compounds that cause discoloration, mold, mildew, body oil residue, soap scum, get oxidized, broken apart, lifted. But peroxide alone is liquid. It runs. It doesn't have contact time. It doesn't sit inside those channels long enough to complete the reaction before it drains away or evaporates. This is where baking soda, sodium bicarbonate, does something elegant. When you combine sodium bicarbonate with hydrogen peroxide, you're not just mixing a cleaning agent with a filler. You're creating a slow-release oxygen delivery system. The alkaline nature of baking soda moderates the decomposition rate of the peroxide, slowing down that oxygen release, extending the active window of the reaction. The paste texture physically holds the mixture against the grout surface and pushes into the channels rather than running off. And sodium bicarbonate is itself a mild abrasive. Not harsh enough to scratch tile, but textured enough to mechanically agitate the surface while the chemistry does the deeper work. It's both a delivery mechanism and a co-cleaning agent simultaneously. And here's the part that explains the permanence claim. Sodium bicarbonate, when it reacts with moisture and the compounds present in Portland cement grout, forms a calcium carbonate residue. Calcium carbonate is essentially limestone. It partially fills those microscopic channels, reducing future porosity, making the grout structurally less absorbent going forward. You're not just cleaning, you're remineralizing. The grout that comes out of this process is genuinely less porous than the grout that went in. That's why modern chemical cleaners couldn't replicate this even if they tried. They're formulated for immediate visual impact, something that looks impressive the moment you spray it. The reaction we're talking about takes 18 to 20 minutes to complete, looks unremarkable while it's happening, and produces its most significant results in the structure of the material rather than on the surface. That doesn't test well in a focus group. It doesn't make a satisfying commercial. So it got left behind. So what happens when you actually combine these two compounds in the right proportion and apply them correctly? And what is the right proportion? Standard drugstore hydrogen peroxide is 3% concentration. That's the brown bottle, widely available, costs about $1.50 for a large bottle. That's the right concentration. Stronger isn't better here because a higher concentration will decompose too quickly and you'll lose the extended reaction window. 3% is exactly where you want to be. Baking soda is baking soda. Standard box from the grocery store or a bulk bag if you're doing a large area. No special grade, no particular brand. The ratio is 2 parts baking soda to 1 part hydrogen peroxide by volume, meaning for every tablespoon of peroxide, you're using 2 tablespoons of baking soda. Mix them together, and what you get is a thick, slightly fizzing paste. That fizzing you see immediately is a small amount of premature oxygen release. Normal, expected, and it'll slow down once the mixture stabilizes after about 30 seconds of mixing. At that point, you have roughly a 10-minute working window before the mixture starts losing potency, so prepare what you'll use in one section at a time, rather than mixing a large batch up front. Apply the paste directly to the grout lines. Don't thin it out. You want full coverage and you want enough thickness that it stays in contact with the surface rather than drying out too fast. An old toothbrush is the traditional tool, and it works well because the bristle shape is almost perfectly sized for a grout line. Work it in with a small circular motion. Not aggressive scrubbing, just enough pressure to push the paste into the channels rather than just sitting on top. Once it's applied, you leave it. 18 minutes minimum, 20 is better. This is not a spray and wipe product. The chemistry needs time to complete. If the paste is drying out before the time is up, which can happen in a dry or warm environment, lightly mist it with water. You're not washing it off, just keeping the reaction active. After 18 to 20 minutes, take a damp cloth or a sponge and wipe away. What comes off the surface will be gray to dark brown in color. That's the oxidized organic material that was embedded in the grout. Rinse thoroughly with clean water. What you're left with is white grout, genuinely white, not surface brightened, structurally cleaned and partially remineralized for grout that hasn't been treated in many years, heavily stained, deeply discolored. A second application 24 hours after the first will push it further. Some people see complete transformation on the first pass. For grout that's been accumulating material for a decade or more, the second application handles whatever the first one loosened but didn't fully lift. The cost of this entire process for an average bathroom, under $2. The cost of professional grout cleaning for the same bathroom, anywhere from $150 to $300 depending on your market, and it'll need to be done again in 12 to 18 months. The paste you just made will hold for years. Here's what surprised me most when I tested this on 12-year-old grout, in a shower that hadn't seen white since about 2014. The first thing I noticed wasn't the color change, it was what came off on the cloth during the wipe down. I expected some discoloration, some gray residue. What I got looked like I was wiping actual mud out of those grout lines. Dark, paste-thick material that had no business being in a bathroom tile joint. It had been embedded in there for years, untouched by every spray, and foam I'd ever used on that shower, just sitting in those channels contributing to the appearance of permanently stained grout. After the wipe down and a rinse, standing in the doorway looking at that shower, I genuinely thought for a moment that someone had re-grouted overnight. The difference was that significant. Not slightly improved, transformed. The second thing that struck me was the texture. Grout that's heavily contaminated has a slightly soft, almost chalky feel when you run a fingernail along it. After the treatment, the surface had hardened. That's the remineralization. That's the calcium carbonate filling those channels. You can feel the structural difference with your hand. I went back and checked that shower at the 30-day mark, 60 days, and 90 days. The grout held, stayed white. Normal shower use, no special maintenance. The porosity reduction from that first treatment means daily water and soap have significantly less to grab onto. The formula didn't just clean the grout, it changed the grout's relationship with everything that tries to dirty it afterward. You now understand more about grout chemistry than any cleaning product advertisement will ever tell you, because understanding it fully would make you realize you don't need the product. The companies selling you monthly tile spray aren't selling you clean grout. They're selling you the feeling of progress in a spray bottle. There's a difference. Your grandparents had this knowledge. It was in the household guides sitting on their shelves. Somewhere between post-war prosperity and the rise of the consumer chemical industry, that knowledge got replaced by brand names and marketing budgets. That's not a dramatic conspiracy. It's just economics. Permanent solutions don't generate recurring revenue, so they get quietly retired in favor of solutions that keep you buying. The paste takes 5 minutes to mix and apply. Give it 20 minutes to work. Wipe it down. That's the whole thing. That's what $100 and $50 of professional service is doing in your bathroom, minus the molecular depth and the remineralization, which, as it turns out, the professionals aren't doing anyway. If this kind of recovered knowledge is useful to you, there's a lot more ground to cover. The same pattern, effective old formula replaced by profitable modern product, shows up in rust treatment, wood preservation, paint adhesion, even pest control. Subscribe and you'll be there when I get to those. And if you've already used this formula before, or you try it this week, drop your result in the comments. I want to know how old the grout was and how many applications it took. That data is actually useful for figuring out where the limits of this formula are, and so far I haven't found them.